Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Man, there is truly never a boring day when it comes to covering the Indiana Fever. I'm serious. For the last 2.5, almost 3 years, this team has given us non-stop storylines. We've seen exciting moments, frustrating moments, and more bad moments than anybody probably wants to remember. But through all of it, one person seems to be benefiting from every single controversy. And that person is Christie Sides. Every time something goes wrong with the Indiana Fever, it feels like fans start looking back and reevaluating everything. And now, with what we're seeing from Stephanie White, a lot of people are beginning to ask some serious questions. In fact, Christie Sides seems to be catching strays without even saying much. Meanwhile, Christy Tolliver keeps finding herself in the middle of these conversations as fans compared the current situation to what happened before. The biggest issue right now is simple. What we're watching from the Indiana Fever is becoming harder and harder to defend. The offense looks predictable, the rotations look questionable, and the way Caitlin Clark is being utilized has left many fans completely confused. I said it before, and I'm saying it again. This team is starting to look exactly like the 2024 Connecticut Sun. They might as well call themselves the Fever Sun, because the similarities are impossible to ignore. Stephanie White appears to be running the same concepts, the same sets, and the same offensive approach that she used in Connecticut. The problem is that WNBA teams adjust quickly. Once opponents recognize what you're doing, they find ways to shut it down. And that's exactly what seems to be happening with Caitlin Clark. Defenses know where she wants to go, they know where the ball is supposed to be, and they know how to force the Fever into uncomfortable situations. Once Caitlin Clark gets taken out of rhythm, everything else starts falling apart. The offense becomes stagnant, ball movement slows down, possessions become difficult, and suddenly the Fever look like a completely different team. What's really interesting is how many fans are now looking back at Christie Sides with a different perspective. A lot of people are saying, maybe we were too hard on Christie Sides. Whether you agree with that or not, the conversation is definitely happening. To be fair, Christie Sides had an incredibly difficult situation when Caitlin Clark entered the league. Caitlin Clark was one of the biggest stars women's basketball had ever seen. Expectations were sky high from day one. Every decision was under a microscope. At the same time, it often felt like nobody truly knew the best way to maximize Caitlin Clark immediately at the professional level. Maybe there should have been more collaboration. Maybe somebody should have reached out to Lisa Bluder for insight. We don't know if that ever happened, but if there's one person who should probably be making that phone call right now, it's Stephanie White. Stephanie White needs to call Lisa Bluder as soon as possible, because the version of Caitlin Clark that dominated college basketball doesn't look like the version we're watching right now. The player who broke records, controlled games, and transformed offenses isn't consistently showing up on the court. That's not entirely on Caitlin Clark. A lot of it comes down to system, spacing, and how players are being put in positions to succeed. Right now, the Fever simply don't look like a playoff-caliber team. I know that's tough to hear, but based on what we've seen recently, it's becoming a legitimate concern. Forget championship expectations for a second. The immediate question is whether this team can consistently compete with the better teams in the league. Then there's the situation involving Kelsey Mitchell. Many fans have noticed possessions where the ball appears designed to return to Caitlin Clark, but somehow it never gets back to her. The offense starts moving one direction, and then suddenly the ball goes somewhere else. It has created frustration among supporters who want to see Caitlin Clark more involved in critical moments. At times, it almost looks like a game of hot potato, where the ball keeps moving everywhere except back to Caitlin Clark. Whether that's intentional or simply a byproduct of how the offense is functioning, the result is the same. The team's most dynamic playmaker often ends up watching possessions unfold instead of directing them. Now let's talk about the injury situation. The latest injury report has Aaliyah Boston listed as questionable. During the previous game, viewers noticed Aaliyah Boston appearing to have some type of heat pad or support around her knee area. Naturally, that raised concerns among fans. The frustrating part is that there hasn't been much transparency regarding the injury. Fans want answers because Aaliyah Boston is one of the most important players on this roster. When she's not fully healthy, it affects everything the Fever are trying to accomplish. And honestly, this reminds people of the uncertainty surrounding Caitlin Clark's health situation earlier. Fans were left searching for information and trying to piece together what was happening. At the end of the day, the Indiana Fever have talent. They have Caitlin Clark, they have Aaliyah Boston, they have Kelsey Mitchell. The pieces are there. But unless something changes with the offensive philosophy and overall execution, the concerns surrounding Stephanie White are only going to get louder as the season continues.
Now, with that being said, let's head on over to Instagram and pull up Christie size right now. So this is Christie Size Instagram. I'm finna blow it all the way up for you, those of you guys who might not know. Now, Christie Size did not take none of the Fever stuff down. She left it all up. Why did she do this? She left it all up for a reason. This is Christie Size during a happier moment there with Lin Dunn. You feel me? Sitting right next to her. You know, love my people. What are they? I wonder if we asked Christie Size that same question, would she have the same answer? I don't know. But this was from today. She said, day trip on the Dolphin Island ferry, fun. And then there's this one. This right here, just a sip, my mama, Kodo. Hopefully I said that right, but she's talking about her dog. But she's definitely living her best life. And we know the old phrase from The Lion King, Hakuna Matata. There are no real worries for the rest of my day. And that is exactly what it looks like Christie Size is insinuating, because every time the Fever has a basketball game, every time Christie Size posts either the day of the game or after the game. Well, she for sure is going to post after the game. But she definitely posts after the game. And this is another post of Christie Size posting after the game, letting the world know she is unbothered with the nonsense. Now, moving on to another story, we have to head on over to Twitter. So this is a report that came out 3 hours ago from none other than Chloe Peterson. She said that Aaliyah Boston is questionable with a lower leg injury. I told y'all I believe it's her knee. It says for tomorrow's game in Washington, she briefly left the game against New York, then returned a couple of minutes later. Caitlin Clark remains probable with a back injury.
Somebody said, this isn't really reporting. Fever posted this already. Go get the real scoop. The question you need to ask is, why is it no longer enjoyable to watch the Fever games? Why should we as fans pay $300 to $500 for good seats to watch this team play boring basketball? Here said, so Scott was correct and you're afraid to report it, so don't get canceled. Now, look at this one said, Chloe, it's time for y'all to ask the important questions. Why no screens for Caitlin? No plays designed for her. Isolated, ignored. Steph challenges for everyone except CC, even though she's fouled every possession, making CC the fourth option, the most lethal offensive engine. Now, I believe that the Indiana Fever has the #1 offense in all of the WNBA, and for whatever reason, they have decided, not to pass Caitlin Clark the ball. And it's looking very, very shocking. So this is Jason Whitlock. He stated, this is a brilliant explanation of Steph White versus Caitlin Clark. It's not personal, it's a difference in strategic philosophy. Somebody said, why Stephanie White's system maximizes Alyssa Thomas but suffocates Caitlin Clark, a tactical breakdown. With Coach White now steering the ship in Indiana, the discourse around her offensive philosophy is reaching a boiling point. To understand why her scheme looks so radical, then it goes on to say, so far, the results do not support maximizing AB. Rather, it is maximizing dribble out the clock and chuck Kelsey Mitchell. CC is the one who can and has maximized Aaliyah Boston. White and Lin are the classic my way or the highway mini itchy jealous girls club, and CC ain't in it. Somebody said, this is done. Trade her so Steph can run her high school offense with generational talent Raven Johnson. And honestly, that comment right there tells you where a lot of fans are mentally right now. Whether people agree or disagree, there's clearly a growing frustration with how the Indiana Fever are using Caitlin Clark. Another person said, "I legit told my dad they need a big who can run all game, plus they have to get her in transition as much as possible. Great coaches adjust their offense consistently and continuously to their talent." And that's really the heart of the conversation. A lot of fans feel like the system should be adapting to Caitlin Clark rather than Caitlin Clark adapting completely to the system. Then another comment took things in a completely different direction, bringing up Alyssa Thomas and making the argument that factors beyond basketball are involved. Whether you agree with that or not, it shows just how emotional this discussion has become. Somebody else pointed to Caitlin Clark's body language during the post-game presser and claimed she looked completely frustrated with the situation. Now look, these are fan opinions, but they show how divided the fan base has become. As for me, I'll continue covering the Indiana Fever, win, lose, or draw. Get down in the comments section and let me know your thoughts about this.